Senator Hanson-Young.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Senator Hanson-Young for allowing me to just interpose very briefly. I refer to a report in SBS Media of the 16th of October that Australia's growing trade with India could increase illicit drug shipments, and the theme of that report, Mr. Cobley, refers to Australia's growing international trade may be increasing opportunities for illegal drug shipments in terms of various trade agreements. I'm not saying that because the rationale is unless you have an increase in resources with the increased levels of trade, there may be an opportunity, particularly in India, which is a huge producer of chem pharmaceuticals and ephedrine, as in China, that you'll see increasing quantities that could come out of those countries. So firstly, is Border Force aware, is concerned that these trade agreements will increase to illegal drug shipments, or the risk of doing so, given the nature of the agreement and the potential for that increase in illegal shipments, particularly of ephedrine?
Yes, thank you, Senator. To answer your latter question first, yes, we are aware that the free trade architecture, if you will, not just with India and China, but with other partners, may expose us to risk of prohibited goods coming from those countries. But can I say this, that our drug enforcement settings in this country have matured quite significantly over a period of time. We are putting a lot of effort into doing underlying intelligence assessments. And what that essentially means is, and I'll use India as an example. So if you take the likely drug threat coming out of India, it's likely to be precursor chemicals. India has a very large pharmaceutical, very large veterinary industry, and the risk for Australia out of any free trade arrangement with India is likely to be in the domain of precursors. So at the border, we have a number of settings. We, as I say, conduct some intelligence assessments at the country level. We do some tactical assessments in terms of entities that we know of in India. We share our intelligence with our enforcement agencies. And so we do a lot of work which ends up setting profiles and alerts on our integrated cargo system. So if, for example, we get a bunch of consignments out of India from an importer whom we have no history on, and it arises out of one of the key pharmaceutical or veterinary or other chemical industries in India, those sorts of profiles start making us pay attention. Sure. And those consignments will be flagged, they'll be given a priority rating.
But the issue is, I'm sorry, because my time is actually very constrained. Again, I'm grateful to Senator Hanson-Young. The issue is this: there will be an increase in trade with countries such as China and India with either impending and future free trade agreements. You agree with that proposition?
Yes, hopefully, yes.
Yeah, and that means that there'll be an increased risk given the role, given the pharmaceutical industry in China and in India. Will there be a commensurate and requisite increase in resources with the Australian Border Force to ensure that there can be enough interception of what could be?
I understand the question. Look, in relation to the specifics of the FTA, there is no specific increase of Australian Border Force resources relating to the FTA agreements. However, we are in the process of actually increasing our resourcing and screening efforts at the border as a result of a new policy initiative which came in last year called Tackling Crime. That has given us an increased numeric screening numbers to implement at the border. So we are actually doing that.
So, and finally, I'll put this on notice. I'll put a number of questions on notice, but also ask what risk assessment has been done with these free trade agreements in terms of the risk of illicit substances coming in, particularly precursors to crystal methamphetamine, which of course is a huge community concern, and its impact, and effectively, what risk assessment's been done by Australian Border Force. I'll put those on notice.
I'll take that on notice, Senator, but we have been consulted on those, and I'll take that on notice.
And my 4 minutes is up.